Welcome to Creole and Cajun Living with Bomb Cherry. And in this video, I will be showing you how I make a cute hanging dish towel dress. The items needed will be your sewing machine, matching thread and bobbin, iron, your towel, your fabric or fabrics. You will need some interfacing, your pattern pieces, pins and clips, scissors, and marking tools. Now let's get started. Now the first thing I'm going to do is draft out my pattern piece. What do I want my dress top portion of the towel to look like? I decide on what type of neckline, I decide on my seam allowance, and whether I'm going to add ribbon or not. These are the things that you do during this portion of the pattern making. When you're creating your own pattern, you're only limited by your own imagination. So now it's time to cut out my pattern piece. The way I designed my pattern piece is to be aligned on a fold. Okay, I just want to give you a little information that I did pre-wash all fabrics before starting this project. Okay, so I've decided to use two types of fabric. Why? Because the inside of this dress you won't be able to see. Therefore, I don't need my pretty and expensive fabric for that side of the dress. So here I am. I grabbed just a regular basic white material. I clip the two fabrics together or pin them together, and then I proceed to cut out the pattern piece. Okay, so now I'm going to add my interfacing to the back portion of my fabric piece. Once that's done, I'm going to go in to the neckline of the dress and give a little clip on the ends. And then I'm going to fold it over and I'm going to sew this around. So what I'm doing, I'm just adding some heat to it to help me to keep that in its position. And this is how I've decided to work the neckline until I figure out a better and more proficient way. So here I've decided to do a zigzag stitch and kind of just go around the neckline to keep that in place. And I'm going to do the same exact technique with the other portion of this pattern. Okay, so I've completed both sides of the pattern piece at the neckline. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to place right sides together using pins and or clips, and then I'm going to sew a straight stitch here and here. Okay, so now I'm going to use my peeking shears just to cut close to the stitch lines. And in the corners or the areas in which the garment turns or have a curve, I'm going to go in and just snip out just a little bit of the fabric from that area. And that will help it to lay correctly once I flip it inside out. Okay, so as I turn this inside out, I am making sure to carefully press out the portion at the seams, especially at those curves, because that is what's going to give us the lines, the curves, and that's going to make this look like the top of the dress the way it should. Then I'm going to take this to my iron and just flatten it out. Okay, so this is what it looks like flat. It looks really nice. I'm pretty much done with this portion of the dress, and now we're going to tackle the skirt portion. Okay, so the skirt is made from a kitchen towel, a dish towel. And what I've done is I folded it pretty much in half. I place a pin in the area in which helps me to determine what the half mark is. I'm going to now unfold it, and I'm going to cut directly across. And that would give me my 2 halves from one towel. Okay, so I have this piece of fabric that's still left over. And so what I've decided to do is to add this at the bottom of the towel, like a piece of ribbon. Okay, so I'm prepping the fabric. I iron it, then I'm going to fold it over, fold it in half pretty much, and then I'm going to determine placement. Where on the towel do I want to place this ribbon? Now, it's important that you remember that what you do to one side, you do to the opposite side as well. Okay, so it doesn't matter which way the towel is facing, it will look like a pretty dress. Okay, so once I figure out where I want to place the ribbon, I pin it in place on both towels, and then I'm going to take it over to my machine and stitch it together. So I start to sew at one end of the ribbon, and I stitch completely around until the ribbon is completely stitched, both top, bottom, and both ends to this towel. And I repeat this on the second towel. Okay, so I've decided instead of gathering, I'm going to create pleats. So I look for the halfway mark on the towel, and I proceed to fold over my very first pleat, and I pin it in place. I then look for another area, I pinch it between my fingers, and I pin that down as well. I continue to do that until it looks like it could be a pleated skirt. Okay, this doesn't have to be perfect, but I do want this to be as nice as possible and pleated until it can fit inside of the top portion of the dress. Then I take it to my machine and I stitch across. Unfortunately, I lost that particular clip. Okay, so now I'm going to take this top portion of the dress and hem it. And I'm going to use the heat to help me to press the hem inside. Then from there, I'm going to place the skirt in one end, pin it in place, and then I'm going to place the skirt in the opposite end and also pin it in place. Okay, so I take it over to my machine and I decide to go with a zigzag stitch that will hopefully ensure that I catch both the towel portion and the top portion of this dress. And I just stitch straight across. Okay, so here's the back side, and it looks like I caught both the towel and the top portion of the dress. I want to clean up any loose threads, and here is the finished product. You could change this dress by changing up the fabric choices, the fabric colors. You are only limited by your imagination. you enjoyed this video. If you have, make sure to hit the thumbs up, share it with your family and friends, and don't forget to subscribe.